Hey guys, just waiting for my partners here. Thanks for joining. Thank you for joining. Waiting for the request from my guests. No. Hi Karen. This is good. Good. I'm well. How are you? I'm just waiting for the request to come in from Privilege to Progress. Hi Kevin. We should be seeing them on any second now, I hope. How you guys doing? Hi from Minnesota. How am I doing today? I'm doing okay. How are you doing? I will tell Alex hello. Yes. All right. Beechwood Canyon, what's up? Oh, here we go. All right. Waiting for Michelle.
Hi,
Connecting. Hey.
how
Hi.
are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You know what? How am
Weird.
you
I
know
know
what?
it's a weird question. Let's
I
just
feel, yeah, I feel energized because I'm staying at Melissa's house right now, and I just walked through a protest of, I would say, 75 to 80% white people marching for peace and for justice. And I just stopped and had to watch and I was just smiling at everybody and they were smiling at me and it was all love and it was a beautiful moment. So that's literally what I saw the second before I got on this live.
that makes me so happy. I mean, it really does. It just that makes me so happy.
Yeah. So how
Yeah.
have you been doing? Like what's
Doing
going on with you?
doing fine. I mean, I'm trying to find my way in this. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to listen and learn, and whatever I'm hearing and learning, I'm wanting to uh, get out there for other people, which is why I'm so humbled that you asked me to do this.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, because we need more white influencers talking about it. You know, they have such a huge platform and not that you have to,
No,
but you should.
no. In fact, I almost feel like I need to clarify that I don't feel like I'm somebody with some big platform. I really don't. And uh, my my personal opinion is that everybody has a platform right now. Everybody has a platform.
You're right.
Everybody has a voice. It's just whether or not you're going to choose to use it proactively.
You
Everybody
know,
has.
so yeah, someone this morning, I was on an interview and they asked me, you know, if someone isn't posting that much on social media, do you view that as being complicit? And I said, not necessarily, because before all this happened, to be honest, before the Starbucks situation happened, I wasn't on Twitter, I wasn't on Facebook, I was barely on Instagram, but I
Yeah,
talked to people in my personal life. So you don't really know what people are doing in their personal lives. Maybe they are talking to their racist uncle, their
that
problematic cousin.
yeah, not everybody's spending their time on these platforms per se, they're just not, not everybody's here,
No, not
In fact, most people aren't, to be honest, in a way, it's like
mm-hmm,
most people are not. Most
mm-hmm,
people that really need to hear this, like the police, how many of
right,
them are spending a lot of time, checking out, well, Instagram Live, you know what I mean? So
exactly.
we're talking about a system out there that needs reform that they're not necessarily here, nor are they even paying much mind to what is being said.
They're not. And you know, it's interesting because I wonder how many police officers enter the force and know the history. I mean, when you go to get a job, I don't necessarily research like the history, like the long standing history of the company
Yeah,
that I'm applying to. You know what I mean? Um, have you by any chance seen the documentary 13th on Netflix?
yeah.
even for me,
I
so
know.
I'm first generation Ghanaian American. So my parents are from Africa, and when you come here, you don't know the systemic issues that are going on. You're not educated about that in Africa. So when you come
Right.
here, you want to send your kids to the best schools. Well, strategically placed because of redlining and other things, the best schools are in the white neighborhoods. So I grew up in a white neighborhood, an African kid, not understanding what was really going on in America, but still experiencing the racism at the same time, but not understanding why, because I was never taught. You go to a white school,
Yeah.
you learn completely whitewashed history. So I watched 13th a few years ago, and I think about 10 minutes and I had to pause it and think. I was like, where am I? Like, where am
Yeah.
I really? Why didn't I? I'm only 10, 15 minutes in. Why didn't I learn any of this in school? You
I'm
have to
actually
go away.
curious, what state did you go to school in?
Pennsylvania.
It was in Pennsylvania. And can I ask, like, what, so you were in, this privileged white neighborhood, right? Can you tell me and everyone what that racism looked like to you back then? How did it come? What form?
A lot of, well, it's interesting because my brothers got more overt racism. I
They,
had guy friends that I didn't even realize were being racist to my brother, but were laughing and joking with me in class. I had no idea. My brother didn't tell me for years. I had a white guy once, a friend, like a legitimate friend, explained to me, Michelle, I don't, no, it's not that, it's not you. I just don't like black men. And I'm like,
wow.
how can you not like me? How can you like me but not my little brother? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Do you hear
Yeah,
yourself? Like
yeah,
how I don't understand how. I mean, racism doesn't make sense, right?
no.
A lot of microaggressions. Being told I wasn't Oreo, like I wasn't. People would claim that they weren't racist, but in the same breath would tell me, "Well, you're not really like them, Michelle."
Wow. Oof.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Like them,
Like them.
you know?
Wow.
Saying that I was really black.
Did you find it difficult even talking about racism in that white community? Did you find
Yeah.
it difficult even talking about your experience to other black people in that community?
Well, there were like no other black people.
Yeah.
Like it was like my family, one other mixed family, other black families that would move in, they would move out very quickly. Like within months, they would move in and move out. The only other family that stayed the whole time was another African family, because
Yeah.
again, we don't have quite that knowledge.
Right.
Um, so to be honest, though, it ended up being, and this is actually, I'm really glad you asked that question because I want people who are in interracial friendships to understand that the gaslighting, the questioning of our racist experiences is actually incredibly oppressive. Can you imagine if you are talking to your mate every day and you're trying to explain to him like what's going on with you at work or something, and every single time you bring it up, he says to you, "Are you sure? Are you sure that
Oh,
happened, Mo? Like, really? Are you sure?"
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they didn't really mean it. Are you sure that that's what they really meant? I'm sure they didn't really mean it. Oh, you know what I mean? So after a while,
Yeah.
you learn that the people around you, even though they know that you think that they're your friends, you know that they're your friends, there's a part of you that you can't reveal to them because they're always questioning whether or not it's real.
Yeah.
And so for years, I just didn't talk about race that much until I had a racist encounter with a police officer when I was 23.
Oh
And
God.
they thought I was a thieving whore. Literally, they thought I was a thieving prostitute.
Why? Why?
I I somehow put the
I mean,
description.
can you put your finger on that? Why?
It was this.
Based
It was
on
this.
what? Just simply skin color, right? Yeah.
This kid apparently I took home dark skinned, thin woman, and apparently he was a prostitute. And I guess like he ATM beforehand, got money out. She watched him put his PIN number in, and when he woke up in the morning, all his money was gone. So I'm thinking to myself, well, why are you even following up on this? Isn't this like illegal anyways? Like he got a prostitute. I don't understand why you're following up on this. Like it's not like his karma, whatever. But it's interesting because he actually, I remember him walking right up to me and looking at my face, and I was like, why is this kid? I was in a club. I was in a club with all my friends, and this white kid walks up
Yeah.
to me. He gets this close to my face, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? This is really weird. like, get out of my face. About 2 minutes later, I was swarmed by 5 police officers with
Wow.
bulletproof vests with crime unit on it. Mind you,
Wow.
back when I was literally a decade ago, when I was
Five.
23, I weighed like
Five.
115 pounds.
Yeah, five.
Why do you need 5 cops when the
Why do you
description
need
is a
five cops?
skinny
Why did they need
five,
four
five,
cops
four,
for a $20
five?
bill? You know, but like
So they
in
pull me
George
outside. They're
Floyd.
asking me questions.
Yeah,
Right.
it's so
Exactly.
crazy.
Exactly. Mo, I
And
was
it's wrong.
actually so terrified that I started like wetting myself.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Like I literally started wetting because I was so terrified. He was treating me like I was guilty.
Yeah.
It was actually so bad and so obvious that a white female cop grabbed my arm, she pulled me to the side, and she told me that I needed to go report him because she's seen him be racist before.
Good.
I went to the police office. I went to the station the next day, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we've gotten complaints about him before." I'm like, "If you've gotten complaints about him before, then why is he the lead
Right?
officer on an investigation when the suspect is black?"
Yeah.
But what was most troubling to me, and what I realized, is that no matter how many white friends I had, no matter how many white men I dated, I'm still black in America. I went to Penn State. I was educated. I had 2 jobs. I worked full time at Nationwide Insurance. I was working part time at Calvin Klein. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. And I wish that at that moment, more friends had stood in and stepped up and said something. No one said a word. And it made me realize, you know what? Maybe I should start also integrating my life. Like, I tried to separate myself from the black community for years because of that racism. I knew what white Americans thought about black Americans because I lived with them. I grew up with
Yeah.
them. So I wanted to shield myself from that and say, I'm not black American. I'm African. As if that mattered.
I
It
know.
didn't matter.
No.
Yeah, that's one thing that, I wish more white people understood. Your friends of color go through things, and you have to listen, you have to believe, you have to validate, you have to trust, because
Yeah.
that is what is, that's what's going to solidify your friendships. I lost friends after I became an activist.
Oh, I'm sure
I
you did.
literally lost friends of 26 years.
Yeah, I'm
um
sure you did. You know,
yeah, you know
well,
what I mean.
it has been in our best interest, right?
I'm still not 100. Yeah.
See, it's like it hasn't been in, our best interest, right? To get behind you. I mean, A, we don't know how to do it yet or right, but also it's that white complacency too, and just it's been easier to just ignore it and to not get behind it. But I really, really, really hope, pray that what's happening right now, like you say, you saw what was it, 80% white people in that march today, and I'm hoping that it
Yes.
becomes just more, oh, I hate the word acceptable, but acceptable, that more of a norm. Let's make it a fucking norm that white people stand alongside, and sometimes, let me say, stand in front of and in between, what's happening. That's how I
Yes.
feel. That sometimes it's just like, it's I've been saying the last few days that, and noting to myself, I've been doing so much thinking on it, that it's just not enough for me to say I'm not racist, right?
Yep.
It's not enough, because I have to be then proactively anti-racism. And that is in how I conduct my life out there in the world as a whole, right? So if I see something, and I know I have, I've seen it. I grew up in Minnesota, right? I'm from Minneapolis.
Mm.
And,
Wow.
and oh yeah, and one of the things I did not like about my home state was that sort of underlying the racism that, to me, I felt was underlying. But I did not have experiences with the police to see where racism was a systemic issue. I definitely started seeing it as
Mm-hmm.
I grew into an adult, and was seeing the racial disparity in with the police
Mm-hmm.
department, in Minneapolis, and it's been a big old problem. But
Mm-hmm.
we have to be anti-racism, and that means getting uncomfortable sometimes, but we just have to. We have to. It's okay to be uncomfortable in this. We can be on a learning curve, you know. It's like, but we have to sometimes just literally stand up, stand in front of, and because it's a white system. It's a white
Mm-hmm.
system, and um, so therefore, it's very much a part of the white community that we have to stand up and change that white system and make it a system for all. Because right now, the policing system, it has two different agendas, and one is for whites and one's for blacks. There's two different agendas, you know, and that can't stand. It's not going to work. So we have to police the
That's what
police.
people really need to know.
Yeah,
We have to
we have
police
to
the police.
police account.
When did you
Say it again.
when did you when did you start on this journey? Like what you know what's been your experience with race? You know, like when did you realize that you were white and everything?
When did I realize I was white and other people weren't? Like yourself, I grew up in white suburbs of Minneapolis. I was not introduced to friends of color until junior high. And here's what I can tell you from inside my little Minnesota white girl brain was that I was very interested in
Mm-hmm.
them because I like different people. You know, it's just I like I really liked learning about them. I liked
Mm,
being friends with them, and I loved our differences. Do you know what I mean? But I also wanted to learn
mm,
from them.
yeah,
I wanted to, in some ways, be more like them, right? Like there was so much
right.
that I found um, that I wanted to embrace. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I continued that way, but here's where I feel I failed as a white person. I feel like this goes that I have not done enough. Um, it's not, you know, it's just it's not enough for me to go. I'm a white lady and I got black friends. You know, we get along great. That's uh,
Right,
that's not dealing with the
right.
actual issue at hand. And the issue at hand is that I need to be saying more again towards anti-racism and how these people that I love and people that I don't even know, black people, I want to stand up for the community because I know
Right.
as a white woman, I have a responsibility to do that. And I'm feeling that real deep these days, real deep. You know, I'm having shame, you know,
Mm-hmm.
seeing like the crazy white ladies out there with their bullshit. Um, I, I'm going through a real different kind of
Right.
self-awareness. If you, you know, it's been different the last, geez, especially I feel like the last month, and
Interesting.
obviously
Yeah.
now within the last, my God, well, the last week has just been to where it was something that felt emergent and something that has bothered me so greatly in a way that I know that I'm going to go through a change and I want people to come along with me on that. I want the white community to come along on that change. I don't want this to just go back. I don't want it. I don't want for all of us, but particularly the black community to have gone through so much fucking pain only for it to be just shoved aside like a goddamn hashtag again. I don't want that. I don't want it. I don't want us to have to be back here
Right.
again.
Exactly.
And I don't need to tell you that. You're the choir, you know. But I'm frustrated,
Right.
and because I know it's my people, my fucking people.
Right. Right. You know, that's the one thing that Melissa always says. She's like, I hope that it doesn't die down after this because you see it every time. It dies down, it
Right.
goes back to nowhere, someone else gets killed. But what I'm loving, I'm trying to be optimistic and I'm hopeful. Like I said, I have never seen this many white people involved
I haven't
in
either.
ever. Like this is our generation's civil rights.
It is, and I'm glad of that.
Me
I
too.
am. I'm glad of that. I I want that system to be burned down.
Burned.
Burned. Burned.
Burned. You know
You
what?
know?
I knew I was gonna like you. So I have this thing. I have this thing where, like, when you see like a celebrity on TV, like you like feel them out, and you're like, I feel like in real life I would like her, or I wouldn't like her. Like I have no interest in meeting him. You know what I mean? Like you think that way. And when I met, like I used to watch the show Broad City, and I was obsessed with the show. And I'm like, I know if I ever met Alana Glazer, we'd be friends. And now we're friends. And you were
Oh,
my
cool.
favorite. You were my favorite character. I told my siblings, I'm like, gosh, do you remember my TV? They're like, yeah, what happened to that show? I'm like, remember the woman that would go, ugh. I'm like, yes. I'm like, I'm talking about. And like, so I'm like, I'm just so happy that you're actually like the shit in real life. That makes me really, really happy.
Well, good. I mean, I'm glad that. No, I am. Yeah. I'm sitting here not feeling like a celebrity, just so you know. It's like
I
I just feel like just this person, this human that is really upset with humanity right now.
I know,
Really
and you
upset.
know what? Everybody, like you said, everybody has a voice. I don't care if you don't think people listen. Every single time that you talk, someone around you is listening and they're being influenced. You influence everybody around you. The people that
Yeah.
killed Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, all the thousands of Black people in this country, they didn't wake up one day and decide they were going to kill somebody. You know what
No.
happened? They had they started out with racist jokes, racist comments, and
Yeah.
each time that they said something and they weren't checked, they weren't interrupted, it reinforced that what they were saying was okay. It
Yes.
reinforced that what that they were saying was true because no one was stopping them. No one was interrupting those moments. And then it
Right.
builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. And then you end up committing violence and still no one says anything. I mean, that's
Yeah.
how it gets to that bad.
I heard a lot of that growing up in Minnesota, and I know that that's everywhere and perhaps even worse in some parts. But I definitely remember how uncomfortable I was when I would hear those jokes, whether they were subtle or outright. And I'm upset with myself now because I think about how uncomfortable I was, and yet what did I do? An uncomfortable laugh, right?
Yeah.
Like, but it wasn't until my 20s that, I started actually saying like, that's not cool.
Right.
That's not cool. Don't do that, and turned it into, you're making me uncomfortable when you say stuff like
Yeah.
that. Geez,
And
my
sometimes,
comfort.
yeah.
But
I mean, if you don't know what to say, it can
I,
be as
yeah,
easy as that. That's not comfortable
yeah,
with me. I'm not cool with that. And
yeah,
enough people are on the path in this country to understanding their racism and understanding that those jokes do have some underlying truth to them, whoever's saying it. The more we interrupt that, the more maybe that person will stop and think, all right, the last 15 times I said this joke, no one thought it was funny. Maybe I should think about
yeah,
this, you know? Um, it's just all about interrupting that and just making sure that the person knows what side you stand on. I think
yeah.
also I think that sometimes people test the
I think
people
they
around
do.
them to see what they
Oh,
can
oh,
get away with
100%.
and what they can't. So
Absolutely.
they'll start with the
But
joke to see if that
what's
joke will pass.
what's crazy about that, and what's so awful, is that it's testing it to see if they're my people, right? If they hold those same hateful ideologies, you know, and we need to change the ideology in the country. It can't be this racist system anymore. Oh, where'd she go?
I'm still
There you
here.
are. You froze up for a second. There we go. So, yeah. So, where can we go here? Tell me,
That's the thing.
tell me
Everybody
from
needs
where
to
you.
watch the
Oh, you're still freezing up on
it
me
can't be.
again.
I mean, I think everybody and watching this, watch 13. Oh, oh, are you there?
I am. We keep kind of going in and out, huh?
Are we?
Can you
I
hear
think
me?
so. Yeah.
Oh, I would ask, why do you not love Black people so much? Yeah, I think, honestly, maybe should it be that bold? Is it? Why do you, what is your problem with Black people? Why do you feel that way about Black people? Should we be that confrontative? You know what I mean? And really
That's a
call it out.
that's a good question.
It is, because I
I would
also wouldn't
say yeah.
give them the
I
opportunity
would
to
say
say shit.
yes.
Yeah. And then you're going to probably be confronted because people get defensive, right? Super defensive. And then they get even uglier and uglier in their talk, but maybe
Fragile.
it just needs to be that direct. What is your problem with Black people? Where did this start for you? Where did it start? What happened to you by a Black
Yeah.
person that made you be this way? Or is this your parents putting this on you? Is this, the company you keep,
Right.
you know? But yeah, we have to be more direct, I think, and not shy away from being that, right? Like the white community, we just need to just start being bold. If we don't like racism, then we have to be more bold in how do we confront it. Oh, she froze up again.
I think it's
Come back.
still free.
Come back.
I can hear you saying come back.
Yeah, then you've opened up a conversation. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. In being that direct, you would at least open up a dialogue. Get uncomfortable, white people. Absolutely. Yep, get uncomfortable. It's nowhere near the discomfort that the Black community has felt for 400 years, whatever here. Start re-educating people about the truth. Yep. Yeah, American history taught in schools. They need to get those books right.
Those books are, it's interesting. I learned about Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Jackie Robinson, and that was it. As if like those are the only three Black people that existed ever. I'm like, was that all of them? There was no more.
That was it. Yep, that's it. Now it's time for math class. Jeez.
I mean, I was like, this is
That's
weird.
it.
Right. But I'm like, that's it. And I thought it was very strange to me because 18-year-old me growing up in a white town, I did my senior project on the Holocaust. I knew so much
Wow.
about white history and European history and the suffering of what happened to people. I had enough empathy to do my project on the Holocaust. So I think to myself,
Yeah.
where is that reciprocated empathy? I don't need to be white. I don't need to be Jewish. I don't need to be anything else to say I see something that's done to someone else. It's wrong. I'm going to speak up about it. I used to get suspended in high school for like fighting people on someone else's behalf. That's just that. I remember getting cited detention all the time. It was so annoying. Because I was just like, I see something wrong. I don't know how to be quiet. The same thing happened in Starbucks. So I'd like to just tell that story really quickly. I don't know if you know the full
Yes.
story.
Tell the story.
Do you remember the story of the two Black men that were arrested in the Philadelphia Starbucks for not buying a coffee a couple of years ago? I'm not sure if you heard of that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, there's been
So
so many stories now. I really have to dig through the file.
literally, so we feel like that was like that was the first major like white lady calling the cops on a Black person for simply existing that actually made it to like viral. So Melissa and I, my partner, we were actually in the Starbucks that day. But we were complete strangers. I didn't know who she was. She was a complete stranger to me. So it's funny because I had been living in Philly for 5 years and I didn't like going to that Starbucks because I thought it wasn't diverse enough for me. Like I went in there one time. I was like, everybody here is white. This is weird. It's Center City, Philadelphia. I was like, there's something off about this. Like, because Philly is a very Black city. Philly is a very, very
Yeah.
Black city.
Yeah.
But the neighborhood where this incident happened was in Rittenhouse, which is like the richest part of the city, and it's actually predominantly white part of the city. So I would walk past the Starbucks often to go to the one deeper in the city that was more diverse. Like everybody was in there, all races. So no, that's actually whatever. So I just want to address something really quickly. Saying African American instead of Black shows a little bit more respect. I just want to address that because
you know what?
not everybody.
That was actually, I meant for it to be my first question because I've been told both. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
when I say one, somebody says no, it's not that, it's this, and so I move to the other, and they go, no, it's not that, it's this. So
It's
that's
everyone.
actually that's like this is like white people anti-racism 101. What's our terminology?
See, I say black because there are black people I know who don't want to be referred to as African American because they don't identify with being African.
Right.
I have met a black person that literally said that it is somewhat, it's not offensive to her, but because she has no knowledge, no understanding of necessarily her African roots, to her she's just black. No, I shouldn't say just black. But she was like, I'm black. She goes, I don't like when I think of African American. She goes, I have no knowledge of Africa. Um, I consider myself African American because my parents are
Right.
from Ghana. I'm the first in my immediate family born here. I go to Ghana every year. I consider myself literally African and American. I was born here,
Yeah.
but I feel both. But you know, there are Black Americans who are Jamaican who would rather be, if you're gonna be that technical, they would say, well, call me then a Jamaican American, or call me a Haitian American, or El Salvadorian American. I have a girlfriend who's from Panama. She's Black, but she considers herself Panamanian American. Um, so I mean, I guess it just depends on person to person. Everyone has their own.
Yeah. And so are we just gonna run into that? And
You're just gonna run into that. Like I
okay.
told Melissa from the very beginning, I'm like, you can just say black to me because I know I've met so many different black people that do not identify with being African.
That's what I'm hearing a lot of. And so, I had opposition to that. So yeah, that actually is funny. I did intend for that to be my first question. It's just like, what do I say here? But I know we're talking a lot these days about Black Lives Matter. So I have been
Right.
choosing to use the term black,
Hmm.
and for myself, white. Um,
Right.
I mean, just for the sake of this conversation, for those that want African American, I mean absolutely no disrespect.
Right. Yeah. Yep. It differs from person to person. 1,000%. I don't mind being called black. I'm a black woman. Um, you can say I'm African American. I also identify as African American. Doesn't bother me. But um, I think sometimes too, if black people were maybe more connected to their African roots, understood maybe, maybe they, I know some people that have went from being, saying that they were black to being now, to wanting to be called African American after they did their ancestry and found even the specific tribes in Africa where they were
Oh
from. So
yeah.
now they started to feel more connected to it. Now they're like, oh,
Oh
I'm
sure.
African,
Oh heck.
and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Um, but everyone's on their own, their
I
own
know
path.
it is. And so that's a tough one. And when
Yeah.
tensions are high, and you start off with the wrong the
Right.
wrong term, it's like, ah shit. Just call me a
Everyone's gonna
fucking
mess
Nick
up.
and let's move past
Let's move past it,
it.
right? Like sometimes I'll tell someone, I'll be like, yeah, you can't really say that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can. I'm like, no, but that's fine. Like you didn't know now you know. We can move on.
Yeah. But
But
I love the understanding.
yeah,
It's
we
gonna
like
always be changing depending on who I'm talking to. And sometimes I'm not gonna know which their preference is, and I'm just gonna have to dip my foot in and get uncomfortable, white lady.
exactly,
Just
exactly. So,
be
so
be uncomfortable and be okay with that.
be okay with that. Someone actually just,
Yeah.
I literally forgot. Someone just said, "Did you finish your Starbucks story?" No, I
Yes,
did
I
not.
saw that. I was gonna say.
Um, so yeah, so I go to this. So for some reason that this day I was like, you know what? Let me just try the Starbucks again. I don't know why. Let me just go back to this Starbucks that I usually avoid. And I walk in there, and again, I see like one or two of the black people. Everybody else is white, and I said, okay, well, I'm already here. I don't want to be a weirdo, so I'll just stay. Order my coffee, sat down, and about 45 minutes later, an hour later, two more black kids walked in. And I was like, and I was staring at them because like the one with the green jacket and the beard, he was so fucking cute. Oh my god, he was adorable. So I was like watching them. Oh my god, he was so cute. And he just seemed like kind of quiet and shy. And they walk up to the counter and they said, can I use the bathroom? And the barista said, no, it's for paying customers only. And I said, okay. And they sat down. That was it. That was it, Mel. Everyone watching, nothing else happened. She walked away and I saw her like mouthing something to herself. And I said to myself, I think she just said something racist. I don't know why I thought that. I don't know why I had that feeling. But when you have those reactionary thoughts, it's important to interrupt your own thoughts and check yourself. I was like, Michelle, now you're being prejudiced. You have no idea what she said. Maybe she forgot some simple syrup in the back. Maybe she forgot something. You don't know what she's saying. Like, stop being racist yourself, and put your head down and work. About 5 minutes later, the cops showed up. And I was like, I thought that they were maybe responding to something earlier in the day when I wasn't there, or maybe even the day before. I'm thinking like, ooh, like what
Right.
happened? Like, ooh, like what, like what drama was going on here before I
Yeah,
got.
yeah.
And I was close enough to the counter that I could hear her again, and I actually heard her lie. And I heard her say, those two gentlemen in the corner are refusing to leave. And I was like, oh my God, I think she probably did say something racist. Holy shit. Whatever my gut feeling was, I was right. What was even scarier is that the cops didn't ask any follow-up questions. There was no,
Wow.
well, what happened? What did they do? This and that, because she never asked them to leave. That didn't happen. So I look over at the two guys. They're looking at me. I look at the cops. They look at the cops, because when you're black and this is like, you're like, what's going on? Because then you can see her pointing to them. So we're like, what's happening right now? So they beelined for them. And I immediately started sweating. I
Oh,
immediately started physically trembling, because I was like, hold on. The guy sitting right fucking next to me has been here for 45 minutes and he doesn't have a coffee. I saw a white girl come in mid-jog, use the bathroom, and leave. And I remember distinctly asking myself, I wonder if she works here, that she knows the codes of the bathroom. Or I wonder if she patrons here so often that they know her and they just give her the code whenever she wants, because she came in mid-jog and left. I remember she even had on pink earphones. I remember it like that day was yesterday. And I'm like, is this fucking for real? Like, half the people in the Starbucks don't have coffees. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Sorry, I said I said that for a lot. So like my heart starts beating. Like I said, I'm physically trembling. I'm sweating. Like my armpits are like drenched. And I get
oh,
up and I walk over to them and I start yelling, because no one's paying attention. That was the more frustrating part. It was mostly white people, but no one was saying a word over the exact same thing that they were doing. No one said a word. I mean, even the guy that was sitting right next to them got up and walked to the other side of the Starbucks. I wonder today, like, how ashamed he feels. Like, really, really, dude. So their friend actually shows up, who happened to be a white Jewish guy, Andrew, bless his heart. He starts yelling with me, and he was like, how is this not obviously racial discrimination happening right in front of our eyes? How is this not obvious? So I walk up to the cop, even though I was deathly scared, because I'm a black person walking up to cops that are arresting black people for doing something like nothing. Mind you, there were 8 cops there. 8.
eight.
8 police officers to arrest dudes for not buying coffee.
What?
So I walk up to the cop and I said, why are you doing this? And he told me to go ask the barista, which I thought was really a really interesting answer. I'm like, go ask the barista. What is she runs the show
Yeah.
here? Could I just call you whenever I want and say, can you
Yeah.
remove these people from the situation?
And you'll 8 cops on my behalf?
Exactly. Can I call you
Yeah.
for your squad to roll up
You'll
on
send your
someone?
army for me too?
Right. I don't like that kid's playing fucking like chalk on the sidewalk. Remove him. like that's how insane it is, literally.
Yeah.
So I did. I said, oh, okay. Thank you for your permission. So I walked up to the barista and I said, why'd you call the cops? Mo, her face and her chest got like crimson red. She just whoosh. And she goes, I can't really say, as if like trying to
Uh,
be fucking. So I go, oh, I can say. I watched the entire thing happen from beginning to end. I said, did you feel like your life was in danger? So she ignored me and she like walked down the Starbucks aisle and I was like, oh, hell no. So I followed her. I was like, excuse me, did you feel like you were being threatened? And she completely ignored me. So at this point, the Starbucks is dead silent. The guys had already been taken out, handcuffed, mind you. And I stood back and I called her a fucking coward and I screamed it. I was like, you're a fucking coward. I walk back to my table. I'm packing up my stuff. I look up and there are all these white women watching me. There's one girl in the corner. Her name's Jody. We're now friends now. Her lip was quivering. I was like, bitch, you better not cry, because if you cry, I'm gonna start to cry. And there were other women, like, I can see them starting to be like, okay, what do we do next? And Melissa, who's now my partner, was the only other person that addressed the Starbucks that day. We locked eyes from across the Starbucks. She stood up and she was like, I was just here the other day. I'm here for hours. No one ever asks me to leave, and you know why. So we all walk out together. She was like, this needs to go on social media. Again, I was only on Instagram. I was barely on social media. I was not really a social media person. And she came up to me and she goes, is this caption okay? And I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. Like, I'm not thinking about viralness. You know, I'm not like, that's not in my mind. I'm not on really social media. So I watched it go viral for a couple of days. I had people texting me being like, Michelle, the incident you took, because I was telling everybody about it. They were like, the incident you told me about, it's on the news. I could hear your voice in the background yelling.
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
what?
Yeah.
So I get a text message a couple of days later from some random person that was like, hey, Melissa DePino is trying to find you. And to be honest, I was relieved because this was going viral, but they were censoring the white woman. But I knew that it was actually me, that, like, no one would have known what was going on had I not said anything.
Yeah.
So Melissa was on these interviews and she was like, all I did was share a video. It was the Black woman that said something. Why don't we believe people of color when they tell us their stories? But you believe it when I post it because I'm
Yeah.
white?
Yeah.
So we got together. We were like, I feel like we're like long lost best friends. That's what she said to me. And we just decided, because we had the country's attention, even the world's attention. We had people from Australia, the UK, Germany reaching out to us. We said, we need to start a campaign to show people what racism looks like today. It's not
Yeah.
screaming the N-word. It's not lynchings. It's not those types of things. It's those little things, like calling the cops on someone for selling water, not buying a coffee, mowing their lawn,
Yeah.
moving into their apartment, Amy Cooper and the fucking bird watching dog in Central Park. That's what
Yeah.
it can look like.
Oh,
But that's
yeah.
why it's important to talk to your friends and family about these things constantly, because you don't really know what's in the minds and hearts of the people around you. You don't know. I'm
No.
sure Amy Cooper's friends would say, I've never seen Amy be racist. Yes, you have. You just don't recognize it.
Just don't see it. Yeah, they don't I mean, the thing about your story is that this is what we all need to do. Mostly white people, in fact, right now, like, because we can't allow this on everyone's behalf. But
Mm-hmm.
it really, boy, oh boy, the policing system in this country, it's just like, we can keep stepping up, but until that system changes too, we're in trouble. And I mean,
We're in trouble.
we're in trouble. We're in trouble. And it's just like, the police, they're the ones that they elect their, union members and all of that. They are the ones that are, we have to, the cops need to sort of do what we're trying to do on a bigger reach with the community is, the good cops need to be the ones to step in and stop the bad ones. But I also really think there needs to be some serious cop reform in that there is consequences
Consequence.
to consequences, please, to misconduct,
Mm-hmm.
consequences. And okay, if you want, you can go the other side of that, just like we used to do in preschool, and give them a sucker if they do good, right? Like find
Right.
some sort of positive reinforcement system in the system too, whether it's some sort of bonus, something, right? But
Exactly.
more important though, there has to be consequences for misconduct. But that's going to mean that the good cops are going to have to get real uncomfortable, right?
I've talked to
Real
some
uncomfortable, because
cops.
that system, that is a racist system.
It's a
It's
racist
working
system.
two different agendas.
Mm-hmm.
It just is.
I mean, I know some cops who told me that it's fighting racism in the police force is actually a very lonely battle. They tell me, because it's so big that when you
Yeah.
speak up against racism, you can face retaliation. Cops have told me, like, I have friends of, I have cops that are friends that are cops that are Black, and they go,
Yeah.
Michelle, when you speak out, they ostracize you. You can experience retaliation. You can be put on desk, like you can be put on desk duty. Like they will do things to you when you try, and this is things that people don't know, that's why not more, like, that's why there aren't that many cops speaking out, because
I know.
when
So
you do,
how did that change? I mean, how do we make that work? I mean, you know, how much can the ACLU do? You know what I mean?
right?
It's just,
I mean, I think this is why it's up to us. I think this is why.
yeah,
I mean, okay, this is this. It's terrible, and I don't want anyone getting hurt in these protests. But I guarantee you, a lot of white people going to these protests didn't even imagine that they could be subjected to police violence.
right,
I'm
right.
seeing videos that are really disturbing of
Oh yeah,
cops
yeah.
like ramming their cars into
I
groups of white
know.
people. And what I
Oh,
want what I want to say to the white people seeing this and realizing, holy shit, they're like, first of all, that's just a tidbit of what we've experienced as, you know, being black. But two, think about it. They were cool with you when you were silent. They
I,
protected you when you protected them with your silence. They protected you when you were sheep and you were
yeah.
like, what do you mean? The cops are here for me. But now that you're asking them to stop killing us, they're like, well, then fuck you too.
But so here's what needs to happen. The with the community, and in particular the white community, that needs to turn itself into a majority that does not condone this cop behavior. We need to make it known in the broader reach that we do not condone this, and we have our eyes
Yes.
on you, and we support the good cops. So when
Yeah.
they, you know, it's we have to hold the police accountable, uh, and that has to happen right in the moment.
In the
You know,
moment.
right in the moment. We need to do exactly what you did, Michelle. Do you know what I mean? We need to be the ones. We can't just step aside and go let, you know, they'll take care of their own. You know, it's like
Right.
you
No, we need
you
you as
you
well.
are our own. You know, if we're gonna
Yeah.
be, you know, and like everybody bitching about all lives matter, and it's like, don't you get the math on this? We
Right.
don't have all lives matter until Black Lives Matter.
Exactly.
That's the human math on that. That's how that works.
Yep.
So get to it.
Get
Get
to
to,
it.
let's get to
Get to
it.
it. Start educating
And it
yourself.
has to be regular. It has to be our new norm. Our new norm has to be that we're stepping out and saying and stepping up as you do the hashtag. Step up.
Yep. Yep.
Step in front.
Step in
Step
front. Step in
do not
front.
step aside. Do not step aside.
If you step aside, you are co-signing on whatever happens after that.
100%. 100%. But so we need to make normal this sort of uncomfortable white community.
I
That
know.
has to become that has to become a minority. And that means that's a difficult reach because
Yeah.
Lord knows that the white community is super privileged and they they I'm white, but
Right.
there's a bubble that they're in, and society has made it real easy for them to stay in that bubble.
Very
But
easy.
we have to make those people that are too comfortable in their white bubble, we have to make them a little bit uncomfortable too.
Yep.
And the more that happens, then you know it just has to become the majority that
Yep.
that whites are stepping up. It
One
has to.
thousand percent. And
Yeah.
I feel as though the tool to make that happen, the driving force, for, to me, it's education. As soon as you start
Yeah.
realizing what's actually going on around you, it's hard to unsee it. There's a podcast I started listening to called Seen on Radio, Seeing White. It's a black guy and a white guy. They're scholars. They're geniuses. Then they like chronologically explain how America, since this inception of this country, used race specifically for power and control and tried to like really define the racial lines on purpose. They explain how race even got started. Like you and I are not different. I just have more melanin than you and a different hair pattern. Like race isn't actually even a real thing. It was created by this like Prince Harry or King Harry or something back in
Yeah.
like the 1400s, who was butthurt that one of his servants came back and told him that the most peaceful people that he saw on his world travel were sub-Saharan Africans. And he was so butthurt by that and so pissed off about that that he literally wanted to change the narrative and say how he was like, how dare you say that these people were
Wow.
more powerful than us? So he started literally writing, um, just writing things to the elites around Europe to like basically trash.
Wow.
I'm being really simple, really simple with it. Trash talking the sub-Saharan Africans, and that's when slavery actually turned from enslaving their own people, like Europeans, and they started focusing on Black people. They were like, wait a minute, oh,
Wow.
therefore, oh, why are we enslaving each other? Let's enslave the Black people. And it like when I learned that, I was like, oh my God. It started with the Portuguese or something. I was like, the fucking Portuguese. Like that's where it all started.
Well,
And it's fascinating.
and I love that you use the term butthurt
Yes,
because
real hurt.
uh, because that is still so prevalent. The 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 butthurt, the
Yeah,
butthurt is just so butthurt and weak. You know, it's just
yeah,
it's so weak when I
it's,
see this,
yeah.
just the fragility. You know that they can't. I never know what to say here. They. I'm literally referring to people of my.
Well,
But
because see, once you start to educate yourself, and you move like Melissa's. You got to meet Melissa. She does the same thing because it's, once you start really educating yourself, it's like you almost feel like you can't understand the minds of people as easily who don't see how you see.
well, yeah, and I want to obviously I want to disassociate myself with them.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean? I do.
yeah.
But that's my shame and embarrassment.
Mm,
I I I you know, I'm front, and that's another reason I want to call it out. Like,
yeah.
hey, my fellow white ladies,
Yeah.
calm the fuck down.
Right.
Calm the fuck down. You can't.
Calm down.
Why can't you handle your shit? Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Like, I'm front. So yeah, I want to disassociate,
Yeah.
but it's also my responsibility to take ownership of it too. You know, and the more that we do that to each other and keep each other on check, and
Hmm.
you know, just like all you had to do, Amy, was put your dog on the leash,
That's it.
like the park sign, but just the butt hurt. They just cannot. There it is again.
All right.
We cannot. We cannot uh, stand somebody telling us what to do because it's just not. We're supposed to be able to do whatever we want because we're white.
Exactly. And I remember once having we did a speaking engagement, and there was this nice young white kid sitting in the very front. He was super engaged, like paying attention the whole time. And he goes, he was like, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." He was like, "Well, what do you do when it's the opposite?" And I was like, "Oh shit, you better not freaking ask me about reverse racism." There, you didn't just sit here for the last hour and you're about to ask me about reverse racism. So I was like, what do you mean by that? Like, I'm just trying to like be professional. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, can you explain? And basically what had happened is he wanted to like enter like an all Black college, and they wouldn't let him in or something. I don't know. And I said, well, the only reason that all Black institutions exist is because they were created out of necessity, because we were not allowed in white institutions for hundreds of years. We literally
Yeah,
were not allowed to go to the same church as you, to go to the same school as you, the same grocery store. We weren't allowed anywhere where you people were. So if they want to have a safe space for them to be their full Black selves, because as soon as they leave that institution, they're in a white supremacist world. That is where they feel safe. So
yeah,
I don't remember if I asked this, but it's like, why do you even want to try to get in? That is your entitled, privileged mindset. Everything for you is for the taking. Why
yeah,
can't you let them have this space? You have the
yeah,
world. You can't let them have their college. You have like thousands of other colleges to choose from, but you want to go to their school.
yeah.
And
I know.
but I said it. I didn't say it like that. It was much. And he goes, "Oh, yeah, okay, I got it." Like he was like, kind of embarrassed because he realized, like, what am I
Yeah,
doing? Why am I trying to?
I think it's okay to put a little embarrassment on people. Builds character.
Yeah, I'm like, come on,
And
man.
somebody wrote that they like, appreciated that I said we. And so I think I think that the more I saw that pass, and I was like, yeah, that is good. I need to start saying we, and in a in owning we,
Hmm.
meaning we white people, I can with my voice say we don't do that. We don't
Yeah.
behave that way. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? We we can do better. We must do better. We treat people with respect. We do not hate people because of the color of their skin.
Hmm.
We. I'm putting it
Hmm.
in there. It's the only
Hmm.
way I can, that's the only way I'm able to sort of identify with them is if it's, in using it to be some sort of teachable moment. And I'm okay with people being embarrassed too. I've certainly been
Actually,
embarrassed in my life.
I like that actually because when you say we,
Yeah.
it when you say it to that person, then they identify with you, and they're like, oh well, she's saying that that's what we don't do.
I think that, I think that's a, this is one, I like this takeaway that I'm getting because I have been trying to figure out what to do about my my embarrassment or shame, all of it, regarding people of the same color.
Yeah.
We. I need to say we are better than that. We don't do that. We will do everything we can to stop the bullshit.
I
Yeah.
understand why you feel shame, but I don't want you to dwell on it because Mo, you're here with us, you're in this conversation, you're doing what you can do, you're watching things, you're reading things, you are taking accountability and responsibility in your life. And shame for a lot of people stops them from doing those things.
Yeah,
But
no, but
you're not letting it stop you.
no, it's a motivator, because I certainly don't want to stay in this place, right? I don't want to,
Yeah.
nobody wants to stay sitting in their shame, their filthy diaper.
Yeah.
You
Ew.
so this has really helped me a lot. I'm going with we. I'm going with we. That's a good lesson for me today. I'm actually really grateful for
Yeah.
that little discovery here.
And it's
you know.
yeah, and it's all the time. I mean, I learn something almost every day. Like even like I said, even for me, I read White Fragility, and after I read that book, I became a lot more patient with people. I used to.
You know,
Mhm.
that's a big one. We all need to be more patient.
Yeah.
We really do. I think that's all people, all color. We need to be more patient because in
Yeah.
that patience, we we um we lose fear or misunderstanding.
Yep.
We find understanding, you know. But let's stay away from our sort of immediate defenses
Yes.
and try and have more understanding. Um,
Understanding. That's it.
we have 3 minutes left. What's going to be our,
3 minutes.
what do you
So
got?
we want
What do you got?
people we want people to follow us because we give resources all the time. We give you things to read, things to watch, things to listen to. We want people to come on the path to anti-racism with us. This is, like I said, this is our civil rights movement. This is a movement that we are going to remember for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
And I want to look back on this time and see, I mean, we are building a community here. And to me, like, I almost got emotional like 3 seconds ago because I never thought in my life I would see so many white people wanting to be in a conversation about race and wanting to understand what's going on and wanting to be part of the movement and wanting to be part of the solution. And to me, it is literally the most beautiful fucking thing that I have seen. I can't even, I don't even know.
I
So
and I got to tell you, it's making me happy to see it too, and more importantly, the joy I'm getting from seeing that it's making you happy and that you are seeing it. But now let's keep it going. This
let's
cannot
keep it
just be.
going.
It doesn't stop here. We don't just let this go away. We stay uncomfortable until we're all comfortable with each other. How about that?
Beautiful.
Until we,
Yeah, say that again.
until we
We
all, until